Okay, great. So we are recording as well here, and I will share the video later on for everybody to see. So let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Yosef Romano. I'm the founder of Chabad Suite. I'm also a shaliach in Berkeley, California. And Chabad Suite has been around for almost 4 years, almost 5 years now. And we have an online platform that we implement for shluchim. It's the best in the West, at least, but we are big fans of Chabad Suite. We love what we do. We strive to have a great platform and always add and make it better for shluchim to use. And so that's who we are. So why am I doing this webinar? So the reason I'm doing this webinar is because throughout the years, and especially recently, I've found that there's been a lot of confusion and uncertainty regarding how to use a CRM to track relationships, implement pipelines, and be on top of follow-ups. So there's a few, there's different spectrum of people who I usually speak to in regarding this matter. So I kind of want to identify who we have here. I'm expecting that it's going to be around the same demographic, but we'll take a look real quick. So this is the spectrum. We're just going to do it from 1 to 10. We have, usually I'll speak to the beginner. This is the new shaliach. Never really used a CRM before for tracking relationships, never maybe even heard of the concept, or maybe he's heard of the concept, but hasn't tried it at all. Then most of us are going to fall into the category at about the mid-range, which I call the dabbler, where we've tried implementing a solution system to keep on top of our relationship and track our relationships and follow up using a CRM, but either we didn't find the value in it, we couldn't really figure out how to implement it correctly, or we just kind of lose track of it and it falls through the cracks, and then maybe we'll get back to it a few months later. But on a consistent basis, we haven't been able to implement it. And then finally, sometimes and seldomly, unfortunately, I'll speak to the master tracker. This is the shaliach who has a very good system in place, and he is doing great. He has his CRM, he's using it on a daily basis. He has everything tracked, everything planned, and the system is working for him. So I'm going to ask you to quickly go in the chat box and give yourself a score between 1 and 10, where you fall in this spectrum over here, so we can move forward and have an idea of who we're speaking to. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right, so we're all, looks like we're dabblers, beginners. Anybody close to a 10? Okay, we got a 5, 6. From receptionist, beautiful. Use it every day to track donation, get reports. Okay, great. So I'm happy you mentioned this, because this is not necessarily where the focus of this webinar is going to be, but really we are going to discuss the concept of tracking relationships. And we're going to get into it very soon. I'm going to discuss it a bit. But okay, I see that we're lower down on the spectrum, and we need to explore this a little further. Back to this. So the goal of this webinar today is to get all the big beginners and dabblers and bring them closer to becoming masters at using their CRM. Every business, every successful business has a proper CRM in place, and has a team of people that are utilizing and using the CRM on a daily basis to attract new clients, do client retention, avoid attrition, and just be on top of their game with the relationship with the people they are targeting. And so for sure, we can all agree that our shluchus would be better if we are utilizing a CRM to do the same. Without a CRM, we're basically working off our memory and doing things instinctively, which, things are going to fall through the cracks. There's only so much we can remember, especially as shluchim, when we're busy with so much more than just, fundraising or keeping on top of our relationships. So let's explore. Before I get into it, I just want to give you guys a heads up of how long this is going to take. My plan over here is that this webinar should not take more than 30 minutes, and then we will take questions and I'll be able to answer them to the best of my ability. But that's the goal of this webinar. We're going to keep it short. It's a very narrow topic, and I'm just gonna give you what I think works, and hopefully this will be helpful. So I want to start with the concept of the CRM, and the reason I'm doing this is because I always, very often, I'll speak to shluchim who get confused with the term CRM. They think it's a brand of some sort or it's a specific platform, but it's not. CRM is a universal term. So if you know what a CRM stands for, please put it in the chat box over here. It should be fairly easy. Rashi Tevot. Type it in. Let's see. Yes, Didi, what does it stand for? Can you? Anybody? Customer Relation Manager. Beautiful. So yes, the CRM stands for Contact or Customer Relationship Manager. At its core, it is meant to track your relationships. That is what it does. So if you would go back, 20 years and look at a CRM, it probably looked like something like this. It would be a fancy address book, some kind of software that duplicates what a Rolodex was back in the day. You put in your addresses, you put in your names, and then there's a little tracker of some sort where you can track your ongoing relationships, schedule tasks to call, to follow up, and so on and so forth. At its core, that is what a CRM is. That is the foundation of a CRM. CRM have developed since then into what today we call CRM systems. So Chabad Suite is a CRM system. It's a CRM at its core. You can track your contacts, make groups, lists, so on and so forth, and then track engagement and interactions. But then there's so much more, right? It became a whole ecosystem of features that just boost your productivity, boost your ability to manage your organization in an efficient way. So these are CRM systems. So just to clarify the term, CRM, Customer Relation Manager, it's really just meant to track your relationship. So the funny thing is that we instinctively gravitate so much to the system features as opposed to the CRM. Not a lot of people use their CRM, at least the ones I know, the ones I work with, to actually track their relationship. It's more, they benefit a lot from the passive, the passive collecting of data, or the harvesting of data through, donations online, events, emails, so on and so forth. That data just comes right into your CRM. So it's nice. You have a lot of data you could work with. If you get confused as to who's who, you could look in the CRM and you could find some reference point to remember who you're talking about and what their engagement has been. So this is all on the system end, but the CRM really starts off with your meetings, your phone calls, your interactions, your shiurim, your one-on-one learning with people. This is where the CRM starts. So I'm going to give a couple scenarios, and if you can relate to this, type in. So I'll start with number one. Type in number one. So this is a scenario. You meet somebody on the street. You meet somebody at a party of some sort. You see a potential in developing a relationship with this person. You make a mental note of it, or you even write it down somewhere to call them, and then somehow it just never happens, right? You don't actually call them. You forget about it completely, or you just never really get to it. If you can relate to this, if this has happened to you, type in 1 in the chat. Okay, it looks like a few of us are guilty of this. Okay, yeah, it happens. It happened to me. It happens to me too as well, a lot, and this is what we are trying to fix. I'm going to look at scenario number 2. Scenario number 2 is that one day, somebody just asked here, I'm not seeing everyone's chat answers. So if you want to post your answers to all the attendees, you have to change in the chat box to post to all panelists and attendees. If you're only posting to panelists, then I'm the only one who sees the answers. There's a lot of answers over here that are just being posted to myself. And so we could say we got a bunch of ones. A lot of people can relate to scenario number 1. Scenario number 2. So it's Monday morning, you make a big achlata, I'm going to start using my CRM, I'm going to start tracking. You go in, you make a list, and you decide, I'm going to call 5 people, and tomorrow you establish which 5 people you're calling tomorrow. You do it maybe 1 day, 2 days, maybe a week, and then again, it just falls through the crack. If this has happened to you, please type in 2. If you don't want to put the public, just make it for the panelists. I'll see it myself. Okay, so some of us have definitely experienced this as well. So these are scenarios that are very common, and I know because I speak to shluchim every day that are using CRMs, and I know where the challenges are and what they go through. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. I want to see what you guys think. What is the number one reason why you relate to number 1 and 2? What is the number one reason why people are falling through the cracks? Anybody have a suggestion? No system to manage it. Okay, too busy. Very good one, right? Too busy to actually get to it. Any other ideas? So too busy, no system to manage it. Too many people. Oh, Baruch Hashem. You know, okay, that's beautiful. Listen, we all struggle with this. So these are good points, right? So one person wrote, they don't have a system. So you absolutely need a system. If you are by yourself, there's no way you can really manage more than 20 relationships in your mind at most, you know, if you're really good. So you absolutely need a system. This is what systems are for. Even pen and paper would be better than just do it off your mind. You're too busy. You're doing everything. You're preparing for the kiddush. You're cleaning up the shul before Shabbos. How in the world can you go ahead and manage all these relationships? It'd be too difficult. Also a good point. And also then there's too many people to track. Very good point. So this moves me to my next point. I'm just going to have a drink of water. Excuse me. The hurdles. So I've been privy to seeing shluchim fail and succeed at using their CRM. And I've studied those who are successful, and I've been able to outline what it is that makes them succeed and what those who aren't able to pull it off lack. So I'll call these the hurdles, you know, for lack of a better term, and we're going to go through them and see, you know, how we can get to a place where we're implementing our CRM correctly. So number one thing I think that to establish is we have to have the right perspective. Tracking relationships, no matter, even though it takes 2 seconds to enter into your system, it's literally a few clicks, but it takes time and it takes attention. You have to remember to do it. You have to actually get to doing it. You have to open the right page, even though it's a few seconds, but it takes time and it takes mind space. So if you don't have that time, if you don't have that mind space, you're not going to be able to do it. In addition to that, since it does take time and mind space, you need to view it as an investment. You're investing over here. It's a job. It's a part of your job description, and so you have to justify it. And so this is what takes me to the next point, which is goal. You need to have a goal in tracking your relationships. You need to answer basically these 3 questions. Which relationships are you looking to invest in? Are you going to track? Are you going to keep tabs on? Are you going to follow up on? Why? Why do you want to do that? What's your goal? What's the intention? Where are you trying to get to? And then what data do you need to track? Countless of times I speak to people who tell me, Yosef, there's so many fields in the CRM, it's going to take me forever to fill them all out. And I have to tell them, you don't need to fill them all out. They're here for the ones that you need to use, but you're not obligated to your CRM to fill out every single field. Choose the fields that you need, choose the data that you need to track that'll advance you to your goal, and stick to that. Keep it simple, keep it lean. You know, we don't have so much time. You don't have time to waste. It's not a hobby of how much data you can track, unless you have maybe assistants or full-time employee to do this. But even though, you have to stick to what your goal is and what you absolutely need to track. It's a tool like anything else, right? You use a tool to make you more efficient when you're trying to reach a goal. The CRM is the same thing. So once you have your goal established, you could already start implementing your CRM. You could already start tracking relationships. You don't need to go any further. This is a good place to start. You know who you're tracking, you know why you're tracking, start tracking. Okay, sometimes things will fall through the cracks, it happens. But you can start tracking because you know who you're tracking, and you don't have to feel guilty and upset because you're not tracking some relationships, because those are not the relationships I'm tracking. There's a lot of anxiety around the CRMs I've noticed around, oh, I'm not tracking this information, I'm not getting that information. Stick to what you need, focus on what you need. This is the goal. And this is where most people should start. And that's a good place to start. But the goal eventually, and this will take time, is to get to step number 3, to have a proper strategy or pipeline in place. Very few shluchim have this that I've spoken to, but it is a very amazing tool. The people who do have this in place are very successful. You see it clearly. They're just next level. They're achieving much more. And we can all agree that if we had a proper system in place and we're religious about it, that our shlichus would look very different. So what's the strategy pipeline? So basically like this. At the top, you want to identify, who am I dealing with? Who are my prospects? Who am I even looking at in terms of this endeavor? So we'll look at some examples after this. So then once you identify who your potential or prospect is, you go down to the process. What's your process? How do you get them from point A to point B? What do you have? What's the interactions that you need to have with this person? What information do you need to get across? What do you need from them? So on and so forth. Once you get through your process, you get to your commitment. Either it's a sale, it's a donation, it's them coming to an event, it's them putting on tefillin, putting a mezuzah on their door, going to mikveh, whatever it is. That's your commitment. And then after that, you want to follow up. You want to keep them, you want to retain that commitment. You want to keep them in the loop, keep them in your inner circle. So this is what a strategy of pipeline is. This takes time to develop. I just want to say, because I get, so every now and then I'll speak to a shaliach who just went on a shluchas, and he's telling me about, implementing pipelines. It's not shayach, right? If you just came out on shluchas, you're not going to be able to pull this off. You're going to try, but you're not going to succeed because you don't have data. You don't even have that clarity as to, where you're focusing your energy. You're kind of still in the discovery mode. So allow yourself time to get to this level where you're implementing a strategy and pipeline. And this takes time, this takes investment. This is a big part of your job, and you have to take it seriously to be able to do this properly. And if you're not ready for it, don't try, because you're just going to be disappointed. So let's give an example. Somebody just asked for a practical example. Perfect. I'll give you a practical example. Prospect donor. You want to find donors, your fundraiser. So what do? You look for prospect donors. That is your first step, is who is a prospect. So you'll meet someone. You'll say, hey, he might be a prospect donor. Let me put him into my pipeline. Of course, you talk to everybody, but this is for this pipeline, this specific endeavor. You target people who can give. So he's a prospect donor, maybe because he gave you a small donation, he showed interest, or you heard that he's a philanthropist. Whatever it is, you put him as your prospect. Then you want to take him down to your process. So first step, and this is what I've learned. Again, you could speak to professional fundraisers. I'm not a professional fundraiser. I worked with Shmuley Rothman to help me fundraise better in my shluchas, and this is the method that I learned from him. So first, you vet the prospect. Is he charitable? Does he have money? Is he interested in what I'm selling, in the services I offer to the community? Whatever your vetting process might be, this is mine, right? Once you vet the prospect, either through speaking to him on the phone, you look at his Facebook page or his LinkedIn, you look at what charitable causes he's given to in the past, and you decide, okay, this is a person that's shy to giving to Chabad. Now let me take him down to my next level of my process. And so the word on the street now is that you need 6 touch points before making an ask. So you start off with number 1. You call him, and then you have a conversation with him. You track it in your CRM. You schedule a follow-up, which will be touch point number 2, where you maybe call him again and you ask to make a meeting, or you invite him for Shabbos, so on and so forth. And this will be your process. Once you've taken him through your process, you go down to the ask. You sit down with him, you have a meeting, you want to have a business meeting where you can ask and speak to him about the prospect of supporting your Chabad house. You ask him, he gives you a big, big check because you've followed the proper strategy, and then you want to make sure to follow up. He's now a donor, you want to keep him in the loop, you want to invite him, you want to send him reports, so on and so forth, and then rinse and repeat for all the other people you meet. So this is a sample of what a pipeline, a strategy is and how you can implement it in the CRM. The actual technicalities I'm going to show at the end of the webinar. We're going to go through these new features that Chabad developed to make this much easier. Let's go down to the next slide. So just for a recap. So we have perspective, again, is very important to know that this is a tool and takes investment and you have to invest your time to gain from it. And you need to justify the investment. You're not looking to just track everything and anything that comes your way. Second is you have to have a goal. This is the place where people have to start, is what's my goal in tracking relationships? Which one am I tracking? Where am I trying to get to? And this could be pretty simple. This could be just, I don't want people to fall through the cracks. This is a place to start. I want to keep track of my Baal Batim, of people I come in touch with, because I don't want them to fall through the cracks. Okay, I see that we are being very choppy and we can't hear. Do you hear me now? Better. Okay. Can you tell me where it cut off? Should I repeat any of what I said till now? No. Okay, great. Okay, hopefully it'll be good in the recording. If not, okay, I'll continue. Thank you for the feedback, everybody. So we're just recapping over here. So we have the perspective, goal. We all need a goal to start with. What's our goal in tracking this relationship? What data am I tracking? And what's the purpose? And this is a great place to start. And like I was saying, it could be as simple as, I don't want Jewish neshamas to fall through the cracks. Let me keep on top of these people, follow up with them once every 3 months even, but let me at least keep track of that. Next, if you want to get to the big leagues, you want to become a pro, you have to develop a strategy, you have to develop a pipeline, and focus in and zone in on what it is you're focusing on, what it is you're trying to accomplish through this pipeline. And then the next step is maintenance. Realistically, you absolutely need to do maintenance on this. It's not going to be automated. You're not going to just do it and never look at it and it's going to work fine. You have to take time daily, at least every couple of days, maybe even at least weekly, where you're looking at reports of your lists, who's in which list, who did I speak to, who did I not speak to, get an overview and kind of gauge your progress and how you're doing with using your CRM and engaging with relationships. It's very important to do maintenance. If you're not doing maintenance, it's going to fall through the cracks. This is why I kind of laugh when people speak to me and tell me, oh, I found a CRM that automates your pipelines, or, you know, a few people with Salesforce have found a way to customize it to, you know, set pipelines up, that it's automated and so on and so forth. So every time somebody tells me that, I always, you know, take it and then I follow up with them a couple of months later to see how they're doing. And without fail, it always just falls through the crack, because you can't automate this process. You have to be on top of it, right? And if the computer is doing the work for you, you're going to forget about it. You have to be on top of it. You have to constantly look at your list, be educated and aware of what's going on. You need the maintenance. You need to be aware. So that's number 4. And then finally, I would say the last hurdle would be good technology. Having a good system in place that makes it extremely easy for you to input data is crucial. And we've gotten that feedback at Chabad Suite, because even though we have a great platform and you could access it from any mobile device, in order to input activities, meetings, phone calls, new contacts, you needed to have a few clicks, You need to click a few times and get to the right page and so on and so forth. And it was time consuming. So if you just met someone, it wasn't so convenient to now open your phone, find the right page and put it in. You'd probably say, you know, let me do it when I get to the office. And so this brings us to the next step, where we are introducing the new Chabad Suite web application. This, again, is not a phone app, but a web application. So it just works off the browser, but hopefully it has the same experience as an app. So I'm going to bring in the screen over here, which I will share. New share. I think this is the right one. Please let me know if you see the new screen. It should be, say, dashboard, Mr. Shmuel Cohen. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, so for those who have Chabad, I'll also show you where to find this. So you pull out your phone, you log into your Chabad Suite account, and then you could also, add this to your home page, so it actually works like an app in your cell phone, either Apple or Android. You go to the menu and you click mobile site. In the mobile site, first page, you're going to have your contacts. So if you need to reach anybody, you could just open that app. You have all your contacts. Anybody who has a phone, you'll be able to just click on the phone and it dials them. If you want to email them, you'll have the envelope. You just click that, it'll open the email app. And then there's also a navigate one for those who have addresses. You'll be able to navigate to their home. So you meet someone on the street, you meet your friend, Naftali Abinaim, you want to add an activity. You want to say, I want to follow up with this guy next week. Super easy. You literally just hit this plus button and it takes you to the new activity form. And you could put in phone call. Subject, touch base. Put in your activity details, you schedule it, and then you put in the date. I'll do it on November 7th, let's say. And you click submit. Right? So now your activity has been recorded, it's in there. And so every morning you can go and you could go to your My Activities and see which activities you have. And these are all the activities you have, what type of activity it is, when it's scheduled for. And so all scheduled activities will show up here. So you have a phone call with this person, you could quickly pull up your phone, call them. And once you're done, you just click the update button. And then you can just mark it as completed. You can add an engagement level if you want to see how involved he was, how engaged. There's additional info if you want to open that. And then you could create a follow-up in the same page. So you could say, follow up, or, whatever the subject would be. You put in your date, November 10th, and then submit. So that kept track of the activity you just completed. It created a follow-up with that person. And so you know that you have to be on top, you have to touch base with them when that activity comes up. Now, sometimes things will happen and we'll get busy. The Rebbitzin had a baby. I wasn't able to do this for a while, and somebody falls through the cracks. So we just developed this new screen called Last Touch Points. And it's in beta right now, so we're hoping to get feedback from our users and improve this as we go. But basically what this shows you is anybody who you have interactions with, it'll show you the last time you contacted them. And you could filter by group. So if you just want to see, let's say donor group 1, who haven't I been in touch with donor group 1, you could see, hey, this guy has been, out of the loop for 3 months and 2 weeks. Let me add an activity for him. This person I haven't touched base with 4 months. Let me get in touch with them. So this page, I think, is going to be very beneficial for the shluchim who are trying to get started with using their CRM for tracking relationships, but it's spotty. They try, and pause and then get back in it. This will be a way for you to kind of, take hold of those neshamas that might be falling through the cracks and get back on top of it. So this is what we have so far. In addition, we have the new option. So if you meet somebody on the street, you can quickly just pull out your phone and enter the information. And we've made it elaborate with all these extra fields if you need, everything from, adding a spouse, adding a child, and then even scheduling activities. So you could, remind yourself to call them in a week from now. All this is done within this one nice web application, and it's all stored in the database. So somebody asked if it's on desktop too. It is on desktop. It is available. If you shrink your screen to the size of a mobile phone, you'll see the option mobile site. And this is available as of now, for advanced and professional Chabad Suite packages on Chabad Suite 2 specifically. So I'll just show you, once you do all that on your phone, it's all synced within your CRM. So if you look at your activities, all the stuff that I scheduled, the follow-up is here. It's marked as scheduled. So I could do this on desktop as well, right? Mark it as completed. And And that's it. So this kind of takes you through the new mobile web application. I'm not going to get to it, how it looks like on desktop, because we did that in our previous webinar. If you want to see how it works in desktop, take a look at our previous webinar. And it's on my website. If you go to chabadsweet.com under webinars, you'll see it. If you have a question, please ask now. Okay, let me just close this. Okay. So it is available on Chabad Suite 2. Does it sync with Google Calendar? Yes, it does sync on with Google Calendars. If you want to see how that works, I think we mentioned it in the first webinar. But yes, your activities you can set it up to sync with your Google Calendar or any calendar that's online. It's available with Chabad Suite 2. Somebody asked, is this on desktop as well? Yes, you can access it on desktop. You just have to shrink your screen to the size of mobile to pull up the menu. Can you access it on your phone now? Very possibly. If you have Chabad Suite 2 and you're on the Advanced and Pro account, it should be there. I can't find it on the website. Which website are you referring to? Please, Israel, please, if you mention what you're looking for on the website. Used by multiple users at the same time. Yes, you can use this with multiple users, and the nice thing is that it will only show that user's activities. So you don't see all the activities that are scheduled, but only yours. If you're logged in, you'll only see your activities in your mobile app, and your other shluchim that work for your moisid will see their activities. And you can schedule for other shluchim can schedule activities for yourself. It depends. Whoever's the assignee to the activity will see it on their mobile application. Any further questions? Okay, wonderful. While we wait to see if there's any other questions, I just want to let you know, if you need to get a hold of me, my email address is yosef@chabadsweet.com. I will be at the Kinnis resource fair, and I'll be at the Kinnis throughout as well, so you could find me. My website, chabadsweet.com, you can start over there. If you're looking to get Chabad Suite, you could sign up as well over there. There will be a sale during the Kinnis HaShluchim with a discount on the onboarding fee. So stay tuned for that. If you want to sign up right away, let me know. I'll help you out. And I think that's all the announcements. Any other questions? Yes, you can get a copy of this webinar. I will send it out once the recording is downloaded. I'll upload it to YouTube and send it out to everybody. Okay. Any other questions? All right, so I think we're going to close the webinar. Thank you, everybody, for participating, and hope you gained from this. And share with your friends once you get the recording if you feel they can benefit as well. Okay.